Hello and welcome to About the House. Is the great Australian dream of home ownership slipping out of reach? The House Economics Committee recently began an inquiry into current rates of home ownership in Australia and opportunities for reform in the sector. I spoke to Committee Chair John Alexander and began by asking him whether he felt that the dream of home ownership is over.
No, but I think the inquiry that we're undertaking is to ensure that that's not the case. I think if things were to go unchecked, it may well be, because we have a phenomenon at this moment that is creating an imbalance at auctions. Previously, investors were limited to the number of properties they could buy by their capacity to service the losses. So when interest rates were 10%, rental rates were 3%, there'd be losses. If you're going to have 10 properties that was going to have so many losses, you'd have to have a lot of income. But now that's not the case, because for the first time in history, interest rates are lower than rental rates in many cases. And this allows investors carte blanche to continue to buy and outbid the would-be home buyer. So whereas previously we hoped that investors provided affordable rental properties, now they're actually cannibalising the market. They're taking from young people in particular the opportunity to own and own homes. So that's what we're looking at. And there's concerns that for these investors too, that when somebody who historically might have had 5 or 10 properties now has 30 or 40 or 50 properties and $20 or $30 million worth of properties, what happens to them when the interest rate goes up a couple of percent, which it could well do, or we will think it surely will do sometime in the future. Australia has had that opportunity to give more people the opportunity of home ownership, and all of the benefits that brings, the social benefits, the stronger family sense of ownership, of having a stake in Australia. It makes more reliable workforce, because if you quit your job, you may not be able to pay your mortgage and you'll lose your home. You don't want that to happen. It creates stability in families. And so there's many things that go with it, including a stimulus to the economy. When people own homes, they buy things for them. I think one thing, we have had the opportunity to own your own home in this country. The single biggest asset we have is land. And so it is a strange anomaly that we have the second most expensive real estate in the world in Sydney, and Melbourne not that far behind, and Perth not that far behind that for that matter, which is an absurdity when you think that you could go, if we had high-speed rail for instance, you could be in Goulburn in half an hour, and there's land that's available for between $500 and $1,000 an acre, which is virtually for nothing compared to Sydney, and you could be 30 minutes from the heart of Sydney. So there's all sorts of opportunities to create a pressure release valve if we could strategically decentralise as part of the things that we may look at. But the other problem of lack of infrastructure in our major cities that's allowed for urban renewal and densification. So those things have to be looked at to increase supply. But I would argue that it's not supply alone, which often people who have degrees, they've studied, and the answer to this question was supply. But what I would say is, if you play Rod Laver's going to win. And it doesn't matter whether you play him 1,000 times, he's going to win 1,000 times. And what happens when you go to an auction, the investor will win every single time with the rules as they are currently.
For more information on the home ownership inquiry, see the committee website.